is being recorded.
Okay, let me explain that what's the capability function and how we are trying to use now. The capability function that we have, it's like, suppose for an example, if we want to resolve a certain resources which takes a complex logic, okay, which we could not achieve with generic modeling capability with REST or database call or whatever the implementation, simple modeling implementation that we have. If we couldn't achieve with that, then we are going for the capability modeling. Okay, that capability modeling, it's nothing but a piece of logic, piece of business logic, which we will inject during the runtime, and then that piece of component will be shared inside the CBA file, or it should be shared internally. That piece of logic should be embedded along with the Docker. Okay, so with that assumption, the capability will be invoked. So that is a piece of logic. Okay, the piece of logic, it will be written in a script, and right now it possesses two flavors. One is a Kotlin and one is internal. Since we have deprecated Jython, so we are not going to use the Jython. So we are going to have a Kotlin or internal. I think till now we are clear, right? So this is the concept that I want to explain that. Okay. Now another important point what we have, it's like, so the implementation, it's a more dynamic. So it means like whatever the implementation or whatever the definitions that we define in a dictionary for that capability, it won't apply directly to that runtime mapping. Okay. Let me take one of that how we have defined that capability model. Let me explain that. So we have defined a capability. This is a source capability property. So we have defined that a Kotlin and internal, remove that, neglect this Jython. And then we have a script class reference. Okay, this is a script class reference. And instance reference, we are not going to have that. One, the key dependencies, we are going to have that. So it means like this script class reference, it may not be always the same actually. Okay. So right now, if you try to look into that implementation, Yuri, do you have any other capability definition? Do you know?
We have it for the what do you call it? VLB use cases. We have a few.
So can you tell that what's the data dictionary for that? Yeah.
For data dictionary, I don't think we have it mainly inside the CBA itself, not inside the data dictionary.
No, that is the implementation of the class. I'm trying to talk about the dictionary of that. Okay, let me try to look into that. Okay.
I think there's something that maybe what's her name did, the Rashmi did.
Yeah. See here, this is one capability, right? Service instance. So we have the capability. I think you are able to see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So in this, what we are trying to say, we are trying to say the capability, and then we are trying to say that it's a source capability, that's type whatever I'm trying to show here. And then script name, it may be a Jython or a Kotlin or this one. And the script reference, it's a hard-coded value. So here it's like a sample RPA processor, okay? So this sample RPA processor, it is not going to be the same in multiple packages, okay? Just this, it's a clear, you want to make a clear understanding here, okay? So it means like, according to the CBA, so we will have that implementation of CBA.x, the template name is x.sampleRPA. And then we may have that another other CBA. If other CBA comes into picture, then this package should be CBA.y.sample RPA processor. So it means like the script reference, whatever is here we are trying to have, this is not the same actually. Okay, so we can't inherit it directly from that CBA from that resource dictionary or resource definition. We can't directly take that script reference value from that resource definition. So this should be a changeable value. So this whenever we are trying to create a resource assignment, okay, just make sure that it's a resource assignment. Now I am talking about resource assignment, not the dictionary or definition. Whenever we are trying to create a resource assignment, this value should be captured based on that package name and based on that artifact or implementation name. So we can't have that implementation, the same implementation. So user may implement it in a different file, and then user may map that reference, the class reference, to a different value. So this is similar to like resource mapping. It is similar to like instance dependency mapping. So how we are managing that instance dependency? So during that mapping time, we are defining that resource dependency. Okay, but that resource or internal, that instance dependency will be managed by the code automatically. So we are not bothered about instance dependency, but this value has to have, or user has to provide. By default, it won't work. So what I'm trying to say, it's like we have already an option. Okay, let me show how that resource mapping right now we have. Till now we are clear, right? What I'm trying to say.
The main point that I got out of this is that you want the UI to enable the, the entry instance definition for this script class reference.
Exactly. Okay, that is a point I'm trying to bring, not only for instance reference. I'm trying to bring a concept of redefine the dictionary. Okay, either you can use the dictionary as it is or redefine the dictionary. That is the point I'm trying to bring. Let me explain slow one by one. Yeah. Okay. So now we can take any one of that, okay, existing resource dictionary, resource definition, right? So that is defined in a resource definition type. So this is nothing but it's a mapping file, right? So what we are trying to do, we are trying to find that mapping name of that. Okay, let me yeah, see here. This is it. Okay. So the name, this is the name. And then we have a dictionary name associated with that. Okay, this is a keyword name, and this is a dictionary name associated with that. And from that, we are trying to take, say for an example, let me take one resource dictionary, service instance, the same service instance. Yeah. Service instance, we have that. We have multiple sources. So we have an input, a database, processor, DB capability. So during that selection process, or assume that in that UI, we are trying to select out of all the sources, we are trying to select only one source, and then we are trying to copy that particular source information in the resource definition, right? So we are trying to copy. If user selects a processor DB, if a dictionary has a resource definition has a processor DB, then user will, or here you will tell that what is the type, what is the source, okay, you are trying to map. So here you have that mapping section, and then that source we have that section, okay. So input, like we are trying to say that input as a source actually right now. Now, if you try to look into that model, let me go to that model of the resource dictionary. Till now you are clear, right? Till now.
Yeah, so right now all we're doing is just copying the dictionary and putting it in resource definition.
Exactly. Only that name that we are right now we are trying to map. Okay. If you try to look into that resource mapping, just we are trying to say that here input. Okay. Let me. Yeah. This is a resource definition sources actually. Under the sources we have a SDC. Okay. So here we have a key mapping paths and all those things, and then we are having the properties. It's like a properties map, and then we are having the type. Okay. So let me.
Yeah, but it's the entire dictionary definition. So even like you see, there's ANI get resource.
Yeah.
So it's all the sources. It's not just that instance of the source.
Exactly. So we are copying as it is actually. Okay. We are copying that value as it is, and then we are managing. Okay. Let me take that another model once again that model. Okay. Just hold on for a second. I don't know whether I copied the latest one or. Not sure. Okay, let me take that latest code, or let me explain it here itself. Okay, but the code architecture has changed. But let me explain it. Okay. So it means like we have a controller blueprint. Okay, we have a model modules. We have a resource dictionary. Yeah. So in that resource assignment section, now we have a dictionary source definitions. One more thing, if you try to look into that, this has been added in a LAlto release itself. This part, resource dictionary source definitions we have added. So what I'm trying to say, it's like there are some use cases. Okay, when we are dealing with the dynamic use cases. In that use case, what we are trying to say, without a dictionary, I can resolve a resource. So it means like I don't want a dictionary. So for a dynamic and a ad hoc nature, so in that case, what we are trying to say is like we don't want to define any dictionary for that. We can, from that resource assignment itself, we can resolve that resources. Okay, that is a point we are trying to make for certain cases. So that is the reason we have defined like one dictionary source definition. So here you could see the dictionary source definition. So in that case, if it is of a capability, then we want to make sure that we want to use that dictionary source definition so that we can copy the capability nature. Okay, so we can copy that here the real capability implementation. Okay, this is nothing but a node template definition, the capability here. We can copy the definition directly from here. And then just I can modify the definitions. Okay, instead of a script class reference, based on the scenario, I can modify the definition. Okay, I can modify the definitions there actually. You are getting it right? Okay, so it means
no, I did not follow this portion. So okay. Today, like we have to create dictionary, right, and load it into the backend.
Exactly.
And then we do an auto mapping function, that an enrichment function, right? So, but this portion you're saying we don't need dictionary anymore. We just need to define the dictionary source definition. What does?
Yeah, exactly. This is an alternate use case. This is not a mandatory for all use cases. Okay.
Yeah, I got that portion, but can we take a real example of how that would look like?
Exactly. Okay. So for that case, I want to talk about one more definitions, one more explanations. Okay, let me go there. Okay, that explanation. So if you try to look into that resource resolution, okay. Okay, the assumption here, it's assumption. Okay, let me put it in a simple word. The assumption here, it's like inside the resource assignment, if I see a source definition, okay, source definition implementation, then I don't want a resource dictionary. I don't want to go to that resource dictionary which is attached into the CBA file. Okay, so it means like the CBA file along with that, right now the definition, it's like it has a definition, it has a mapping, okay, it has a mapping here, and then it has a resource definition. This is nothing but the dictionary, okay? This is nothing but the mapping, right?
Right.
You're clear. Till now you're clear, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the resource definition is nothing but a copy of resource definitions. Okay. Say for an example, you may have 100 dictionaries in your catalog, but for CBA, if I need only the 10 resource definitions will be copied and placed inside the CBA file. Okay. This is
right.
Okay.
Right.
So that definitions we are keeping in under resource definition underscore types. Okay.
Yes.
Now we have a resource mapping. One more file called resource mapping. This is the one where our key, that the property name mapped with that resource dictionary and then source. Right. You could see
right.
that.
We select our instance.
Yeah, instance. Right. So we are right now we are selecting only the sources only, that name only we are trying to select right now. Okay. Right now the assumption is like we are not modifying any of the definitions present in the dictionary. Okay. Just we are saying that okay, this is the dictionary name and this is the source what we are trying to select. So what it does internally, the code or the logic, so it finds a key and it finds the dictionary. So it tries to look into the service instance dictionary here. Okay, so it tries to find a service instance.
Yes, this part is clear.
Yeah, service instance dictionary here, and then it tries to look into the input and it uses the reference here. Okay, so it means like you need a resource definition type for that case, right? Okay.
Right.
Now what I'm trying to say is like there are some use cases, okay? There are some use cases in terms of audit or in terms of resource resolution, dynamic resource resolution, which on fly I want to resolve some resources. So in that case, I don't want to go to the process of catalog or maintaining the catalog because that is a code internal. That is a pure business logic inside that, or that can be a programmatic way, okay? So that can be a programmatic way. So in that case, what I will do, okay, it is not under the CBA concept, right? Actually, what I'm trying to say, it's like it is a programming or dynamic or in terms of service chaining kind of concepts, okay, or auditing. So I want to go to multiple sources and then take the data and then I want to compare. So in that case, what I will do, okay, there is a necessity of dynamically having, or I want to reuse that existing resource functionality with dynamic dictionary mapping or with a dynamic resource definition. So that is the concept. So in that case, how we want to achieve? Till now we are clear, right? So I'm trying to.
Are you going to do that in the mapping itself?
Yeah, exactly. That is the point I'm trying to make. So what is missing right now? It's like what is the difference between accessing from resource dictionary and from mapping? It's like only this section is missing. Okay.
Right.
Okay. If I define this section in a mapping, then I don't need a dictionary at all itself. So I can dynamically define that any nature of that property, or I can modify that any flavors, and then I can make an invoke. Okay, I can define it on fly. That is the concept.
Okay. Okay, I understand that portion. So you want us to, so can you go back?
Yeah.
So if we look at the type itself, can you, are we able to redefine?
Exactly.
Redefine the type?
Yeah.
Fully, or is it?
No. Only the capability. Okay. So, or we want to give that option. So it means like right now the mapping. If you try to look into that, we have a dictionary name, dictionary source, dependencies, and the properties input parameters. That's it. We have that. Okay. Dictionary source only we have that. Okay. So this is exactly mapping here. Okay. So you could see that name, property, dictionary name, dictionary source, and dependency. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we haven't used till now. Okay. Till now we haven't used this capability. Okay. So that is the reason I already commented, not this release, it's been long for a while, okay? So we haven't implemented that, okay, in a UI. So it means like what we are trying to say is like modify the source definition. For an example, in a capability case, you can define a script reference dynamically. So instead of, in that case, so what programming logic it will try to do, it will try to look for if definition source, dictionary source definition is present here or not in that assignment itself. If it is not there, then only it will go and look into the resource dictionary type. So it means like one way to avoid looking the certain definitions, okay, outside of that mapping scope, okay. So if you are trying to define that source definition in a mapping scope, then it won't go to the dictionary at all, okay. That is the point what I'm trying to bring here. So it means like for capability case, definitely we want to change that. We want to change it because we can't reuse that dictionary, resource dictionary as it is. So we want to change that script reference file matching to the CBA implementation, matching to the package, and matching to our dynamic nature. So
okay, so can you go back to the type itself, Brenda? What I wanted to understand was it you're changing the instance, or you can change the nature of the type itself, nature of the capability?
Of the type, it's only the placeholder, or just it's only the information actually. Okay, so script class reference. So here you can put any dummy value or dummy or default class name. You can put that. but that won't match with that corresponding CBA. So we want to copy only this section, okay? This section. Let me go to the capability. Yeah, this capability section, we want to copy this and place it under mapping section. So here we want to place it in this section. So for a capability type, you are getting it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So in that case, if you try to copy here, then it means like you can edit whatever the content or whatever the reference name you want to have. You can edit it, and then it will be part of the CBA. So during the processing, it will look for that source definition is present. It won't go to the dictionary. If source present is not, if it is not present, then it will go and look for the dictionary.
I see. Is this only applicable for scripting capability?
No. It will be applicable for all dynamic cases. Why? Because now I'm expecting say certain things. Okay. So in that case, let me put that in a different word. Okay. So tomorrow I want to adjust any of that value. Okay. So not only this one. Okay. The processor DB. Okay. So I want to adjust that. So it means like whatever the dictionary that we are trying to present, either you can reuse or you can alter. Say for an example, I have a dictionary called blueprint model, okay, in a dictionary. Say for an example, for rare cases, if there is a change in that blueprint model, okay, the name itself, it has changed. So in that case, our version, it has to change, okay. So the dictionary has a version of 1.0. If I want to change it, okay. So in that case, I can modify at that mapping level itself so that it can take that mapping value, okay. So it's like overriding that dictionary definitions according to my cases also.
Okay.
Okay, right now, the candidate use case is a capability, okay? But we are giving an option to override that also. Say, for an example, input here that we are having a source input. Suppose, for an example, in that case, if you are trying to have a different properties or different mapping or with respect to concept, with respect to context, I want to define extra properties. And we are allowing a flexibility, okay, so that you can also override the dictionary and then use according to the CBA context. How you want to use that?
I understand. So let me ask you one more question. Mainly what you're asking for is like a developer function. Would you agree?
It's like a copy function and edit function of the capability definition.
I agree, but it's like for developers, right?
Yeah, mostly for developers. Yeah.
Okay, so what I want to say, if we allow this using just JSON, do you see any issue?
Allow using JSON means that I don't get.
Like as a JSON editor.
Yeah, JSON editor. Yeah, only thing is we want a JSON editor. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Because
but definition, right? Okay, this definition sometimes it has. Okay, right now you provide with an JSON. Okay, let's see. Okay, so right now provide with an JSON. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll provide with JSON and then we'll improve upon it.
Exactly.
Okay? Exactly. And all of this is an override function. So I guess we can discuss it with Ahmed how to best implement this.
Exactly. Why? Because this is how the capability works. Right now, the capability works with the default assumption of a default name that may not suit for all the packages. Whatever the use cases that you have created, it will work. Why? Because we haven't applied a package name. It's like a generic name we have applied. So that assumption is like that generic name will be present in your CBA file. So that is our assumption. But that is not the real case if you are going with a capability.
I have a question here. So, for example, if we have the service instance ID in the mapping, it will be the same like here, but we will have extra field, which is the dictionary source definition.
Yeah.
Okay, and through the JSON, the user would be able to modify the definition.
Exactly.
Okay, so if we do this in JSON only, I think it will be just for copying the resource, the source definition into the map.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly. So in that case, it avoids a lot of traversing because it's mostly we are trying to look into dynamic. One more use case, it's like a very important use case in later point of time. Maybe we are not aware of right now. Internally, we are working on that. It's like auditing. Auditing function. It's we have a resource definitions which has a list of all source systems. Okay, so source system 1, source system ANI or configuration or controller we have defined that source system. At the same time, we want to validate validate all the source systems has the same value or not. So in that case, we are trying to use a resource mapping. So resource mapping has already the function. Only that resource definition is missing. Right now, it works in a one-to-one mapping, the source and the definition. So what I will do in that use case, or maybe in a future use case, so many use cases related to that, it's like I will create a n number of mappings dynamically on fly. On fly, only just I'm populating the source information. Okay, I will go and access the definition of the dictionary one by one, and then I can concatenate, instead of one resource mapping, I will concatenate into, I will translate into 5 resource mapping with a different source. Okay, so in that case, since the source definition is already embedded, it may not need a resource dictionary. So directly with the resource mapping itself, I can make a call and then get that value.
Right. The only thing, Ahmed, I will add is that we don't want this to be the default behavior. We want this to be driven based on something. Okay, the default behavior will still be the resource definition type and data dictionary base.
This is optional. This is optional, Bill. You could say that this is optional.
Right.
Okay, so Yuri, we need to talk how to enable this.
Exactly. That's the main thing. How do we enable it so that we can? It's like a retrieving addition. We have to how to enable it. Either some flag that enables it, or something that will make an additional call to retrieve this context.
No, it's like a default, right? Right now we are having, that's where the resource mapping screen will be a slightly different architecture. That's where I just already given some POC there.
But the question, Brenda, is that we don't want this to be the default behavior, okay? Because
it is not a default behavior, but it's like no optional behavior. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
It isn't there, so, it's be marked as optional. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. So the question Ahmed and I will tackle is how do we enable this behavior? Because it's based on, for certain things you want this type of behavior, or for all things you want this type of behavior, but how do you enable it? That's the question we need to discuss with Ahmed.
I have a question, Brenda. So copying the dictionary source definition into the mapping, it will be done all the time, or it will be based on, let's say, a flag checkbox?
No, that is the point I'm trying. It depends on, it's my wish actually. Okay, if I want to override the definition, okay, then I want to go that. So it means like we want to somehow we want to present that, okay, whenever I select a source and dictionary source and mapping, okay, dictionary source and dictionary name, then I should have some visibility or hover over our tooltip, okay, just to say this is the definition you have assigned. So at that time, if user feels that, oh no man, this is not the definition I want to modify that. So in that case, if I click a modify, then that definitions will be copied under the dictionary by default, and then user wants to modify that.
Okay.
You are giving right now, it is not shown anywhere. That is another issue, right? Because we don't know what is the definition, dictionary definition, until unless we want to navigate to that other screen, and then I want to look into that.
That's correct. So we need to discuss how to enable this per instance, per dictionary.
Exactly. Okay, this is one point, one discussion. Next, another important discussions I want to discuss with respect to DSL. We have 15 or 20 minutes. Let's discuss, or we want to discuss further in this topic?
I think this is, Ahmed, are you good with this?
Yes, I understand the point, but we need to talk further about it.
Definitely take your time, because we need a clear picture of your understanding. At least you need to understand very well why we need this.
Maybe, Yuri, we can have another discussion about the scope, because I think we are adding more details. So maybe you can discuss this after in another meeting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Okay. Now, it's another important topic. It's like I have seen that UI, right? So Would you please just explain that now the DSL section, okay, so that I can take from there. Yeah.
Okay, so let me quickly go through it. Okay, here we go. So today we have designer and script mode. If it's designer, it's a JSON file. If it's script mode, it's got
not theory, the configuration actually.
The configuration?
Yeah. The configuration DSL. Yeah, this is the one, exactly.
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Exactly. So I like this concept actually. Okay, what you are trying to bring, under the DSL section. So definitely it is going to copy under DSL sections, I believe. Okay.
Yes. All of this is under DSL definition. So if you look, it's gonna. So each of these items will be on the DSL definition.
Okay. Slightly, I have a different mapping section. Okay. Just I'm trying to bring a different. I think we all know that node type already we have defined that node. Okay. Node for source systems, right? We already defined that. Okay. So it means like a REST source or a database source or already. So we have a node type definitions already. And then node types, we have a capabilities actually. Okay. So we all know that node types has a capability. Under that capability, so what I'm trying to think like, instead of using at a DSL, which is a generic level at the top, so I am trying to bring it's like, the same source system as a node and this property as a capability, okay, this. So if we try to bring that, then I think we don't want to look into mapping of the DSL perspective. So it's like a default logic, okay, the source system. We all know that under the source system, we have multiple types. Whatever the types that we have, so we can define as a capability. Say, for an example, REST base auth, okay, REST this auth, okay. If under the source, we can define a capability, okay, the trusted or OAuth or token base or this one. Based on the capability type, we will render that form, okay, so that it gives a correct picture, and we will have that same mapping under the capability of the node source itself. So in that case,
okay, but I think you're trying to solve a different problem, what you're describing, because this DSL definition was trying to resolve how to use the selector endpoint in data dictionary.
Exactly. So that is the point I'm trying to bring. Okay. So if you try to define that a endpoint as a node, say for an example, right now we have a source called, say for an example, processor DB for our case. Okay, for simple assumption. If you try to define that is a node type, anyhow it is a node template which is present only in a resource definition right now. You are clear till now?
Hold on one second. It's defined in it's a node type, okay. And it's defined here, what you're saying. No?
No. It is defined under resource dictionary. Okay, can you come again? But the definition is there. Just bottom, scroll down the bottom. Source system, it will be there. One more node called source. Just
source capability.
Yeah, source. Yeah, we have a source, right? So this is of a node type. If you try to look into that, the source capability it is of node type, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a resource source. The node type is of a resource source actually. Okay. So right now we define the properties, not the capabilities. If you try to define the capabilities here, okay, in the properties, okay, along with the capabilities. So it means like take one REST, okay, that will be a suitable case for us actually, or capability.
Let's say we have two RESTs, SDNC and AAI. They're different.
Exactly. So in that case, if I define a source REST of two capabilities, okay, not ANA, don't bother about ANA or something like that. I'm trying to talk about inside the ANA, what kind of protocol or what kind of authentication mechanism that we are trying to use. So based on the type only that we are having this. So it means like for a source, according to the coding logic, we have implemented 4 different types. One is base auth, another one is a token auth, and another one is or later point of time based on the category. So if we define a capability here, okay, of the type with the generic name called JSON right now, okay, we don't want to define the properties because we can also define more custom properties in that case. So if you try to define a properties here, source rest, then I can have a process, I can have a ANI rest as a node template, right? This is a node type, right? In a definition, I can have a node template. You are following me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So not in a DSL. Okay. It is like a ANI hyphen or whatever the processor, whatever the name, that instance name, okay, that should match with that resource definition, right? So that name I can define as a node template of a resource source type, and define the capability, what capability that I want to use that, okay? So if ANI it possesses REST template or base authentication, then I will go and fill that base authentication. Okay, if it possesses a different one, then I will go and implement the different one. I think you are following, or?
I think all you're saying is that once we have the source type defined, we can also include the source template instance, yeah. And then that template instance, we can define what are the ways.
Exactly. Why? Because I don't want to define under DSL. This configuration property I don't want to define under DSL for simplicity that we had under a DSL. So DSL is a generic logic. It's not only talking about the configuration. Okay, it is a generic logic. Any property, or if you want to mash a certain property variables which you want to send it to the node template, one of the property. So you can also define that in a DSL. So that is what we define the DSL. Okay, it is not to hold the configuration. If we are planning to create a UI specific for configuration, then I think slightly we can modify the DSL reference. Instead of a DSL reference, we can use that node reference capability to map that. Okay, like a VNF device, you remember that netconf we use that, right? So VNF device, under the capability we have a netconf. Right now, what we have done, we have defined earlier, we have defined a strict properties for the netconf. That's the reason sometimes it may be useful, sometimes it may not be useful. At the time, the JSON type was not defined. Okay. Now, we have defined a JSON type. So it means like under the capability, I can define any JSON type of property, and at UI level, I can put a restriction there. So this property should align with this nature, so that we can copy it to the capability in a JSON format, right? You're getting my point?
Yes, yes. What you're saying is that you want that to be more dynamic, right?
Exactly. Right now we implemented a JSON type, so it should be a more dynamic. At UI level, we can put a constraint what property should go inside that, based on the type. So not at a DSL level. So what I'm trying to think like, so you can pass a DSL modeling, okay, the configuration modeling as a more dynamic or as a simple JSON for now, okay, and meanwhile I will try to look at the implementation on the backend side, how we can move to the capability level of that resource dictionary. Once we have done that, then it's like we can easily model the resource source system. Right now we are not modeling any resource system, right? So what I'm trying to bring is like we can model a resource source system based on that nature, and then I can define that the properties, what all the properties it can hold, so that I can define a properties in a UI and auto-assign the property, not under the DSL section. The concept, it's going to be the same, okay?
Yeah, no, I understand. So, but it's two different things, right? That's what we're also saying. I think what you're saying is that it's okay what we have here for DSL definition for now, okay. But you also want to introduce a new capability for make it a dynamic node source system definition.
Exactly. But what I want is like I want to migrate from here to there also. That is another point. Okay. Because right now it's a piece of logic. The lookup logic, it's a piece of logic. The first lookup logic, first it looks into the application.property, and then after that it looks into the DSL. So what I want to change that nature, it's like I want to change that nature, first look up into application.property, then I want to look up into relationship property, that's a capability property. Okay, I don't want to look
I think that's fine. But yeah. From UI perspective, that doesn't matter.
No, the modeling, the backend model, right? The core piece of logic, it will migrate to later point of time, it has to migrate. That is the point I'm trying to bring.
Yes. But what I'm trying to say from UI perspective, It doesn't matter what if you make the capability component as the second choice, right? Versus the yourself.
What I'm trying to bring that this entire property will come into the first section. Okay, it's like a modeling section. It will come. That is the point. If we are trying to model a resource system right now, can you go to that main workflow, that particular designer, workflow designer, another view of the design.
The workflow designer, yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Let's do it this way.
Yeah, in this section, right? So this section, we have under the functions, right? Similarly, under the functions, we have a resource sources also. Right now, we have a execute node and then functions. Anyhow, DG is not going to be there. Only the right now we have it's like functions. Only we have that, right? So what we can bring, it's like it's right now the node type definition is like a function. Right now we have only that one. And we can bring a resource source here itself, okay? So we can bring the resource source. I can put the resource source here itself in that model, okay, drag and drop. And then based on that, I can create an instance of the resource source and then I can model it here itself. So the properties will be here. Then I can put that all those properties here itself.
Okay, but then ultimately you'll go back to the node type function that is going to leverage that capability, right?
Exactly. That is the point I'm trying to bring, because that is a clear and we are trying to define the resource source as another node, similar to VNF and similar to capability. So
yeah, I think this is all good. I mean, I don't see any issues here.
Yeah.
Right? We want this. So the main thing from our perspective is that we want to be able to get to this UI first before we start that use case itself.
Exactly. Okay.
So
to slow down that particular use case, okay, so that we can map that resource dictionary in the screen itself. So that resource source itself we can drag and drop here, so that we can have a list of all sources. What are the sources that we are trying to use from here itself? From here itself, the same panel we can reuse to manage all the properties.
Yes, I mean this is good. Resource source, component modeling, and template instance definition. Needs to be supported in the designer.
Exactly, that is the only thing.
Yeah, this is very good.
Right
okay.
Now we have a VNF devices, right?
Yes,
you try to look into it, but we are not using more extensively because of that constraint, because of the dynamic source constraint. But after then we brought like a resource source. So with that capability, we can achieve that.
Okay, so let me, I think we had 5 more minutes, so let me ask, I think there's some question we had for you, Brenda.
Yeah.
So Ahmed, you had a question about the backend implementation of workflow actions, right?
Yes, I think we at the beginning we will not have any workflows. Okay, so the action section will be empty. But if we create it in a package, then we can use it from this package in another package. This means that we will have actions here. This is my understanding. Is this correct?
Yeah. So right now that action is based on that. Yeah. Whatever you like or whatever it's feasible, just go ahead, Ahmad. Yeah.
Okay. So Brenda, today we don't have like a catalog of actions, right?
No, we don't have that. We don't have that, and I'm not sure whether 100% we are going to use that or not. Some percentage only that we are going to use it, because entire package level dependency. Okay, action is mapped with the entire package level dependency. Why? Because action maps to that type node template, and the node template maps to the dictionary, and the dictionary maps to that. Okay, so it's like overall related to that. So that is the point I'm trying to bring, that workflow actions can't be reused most of the times.
So
okay.
That's why I'm not in favor of having a action as a catalog. Why? Because that can be easily modeled. Okay, just we are not going to have a 10 or 20 workflows. We are going to have a 3 to 4 nodes just interconnecting that, not more than that. So instead of managing the catalogs and the amount of work we need and the amount of complexity we want to resolve in terms of conflicts, I believe we should avoid having a action catalog. Okay, instead we can model the action catalog very effectively inside the same model itself, or we can clone from the CBA itself. That is the point I'm trying to bring most of the time.
Right. So the main thing that we want, because as part of the cloning, right, even because there's some stuff that will be reusable, like that when you say clone, right, it's basically, it's like a catalog of things that we always want to support. What could be different is the template and mappings, which we need to bind to, but the action name, the components that we need for that action, all of that will be the same. The only thing that will be different is the template and script that we use.
Exactly. That is the reason I'm trying to look into that. It's like a template. We can create n templates, okay, just to mapping the workflow, so that users should be conscious about what is there and what. So we can create a config workflow template or config assign and model template. So in that case, we can define a templates or templates of catalog. From there, you can clone and then we can make reuse instead of having our individual action level catalog. You can have that catalog. It's like a minified catalog.
It's a template. Yes, you're right. That's what we're looking for.
That's what we want. We don't want to have action catalogs here. That is the point I'm trying to. I'm not sure from. This is my idea. Okay, why? Because we are not going to have actions of 20 nodes or 30 nodes. We are going to connect. We are going to just connect 2 to 3 nodes. Okay, and all are interrelated. That is the point I'm trying to say. If you are trying to get a catalog, you are not going to much get the difference, okay? So it means like I want to give a nature of, and moreover, the one request, it is not going to be another request. So definitely I need to remodel or rework on that. So that is the point I'm trying to bring. Instead of having an action catalog, we can have a CBA catalog for that particular types. So that from there you can clone and then we can work on that request. You can work on that node templates. Or because no catalog comes along with that node templates and everything. So in that case, it is a started template kind of thing. So in that case,
I think that's fine. So you're saying that we can have one CBA catalog with all the template actions, and then they can change it and bind it and whatever they need to do.
No, multiple catalogs. That's not only thing. Okay, we can have one flavor of a config assign and one flavor of a config deploy, and then we can have a. Yeah, in that case, we can manage the number of. There is no restriction in having of templates like CBA catalog templates or starter or seed package.
So it will be a starter actions, generic ones.
Yeah, in that case, it's like we can define like what all the actions should be present inside the CBA. We can define that so that it still follows the same reusable pattern, but the pattern is at the CBA level, not at the workflow level. That is the point I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Because LCM and all, no, we can't define that because certain VNF may have a different, only I could see that config assign and config deploy, but certain actions, LCM actions may not be the same, okay? So one VNF may possess a different lifecycle actions and other VNF may different lifecycle action, and then mapping is different, okay? And these are going to be different, and then input request it's going to be different. So anyhow, okay, we can't reuse that action modeling. That is the point I'm trying to bring.
Okay, so it's 10:02. Ahmed, maybe we can discuss a little bit more in this idea of how to make, how to access the actions from a CBA, an existing CBA starter type, something like that.
Yes. Okay.
That will be something good. Brenda, just one more request. Can you look at some of the patches that we have for the UI theme so we can?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the other thing that we have. All right, that's all. So let me stop the recording. Ahmed, Brenda, thank you very much. And maybe, Brenda, Ahmed, sometime this week we can finish some of the other items in the list. We have a few more items. I'll set something up with you guys.
Sure.
All right, thank you.